Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines. We are working on a Husky 5,000 watt, it's actually a 6250 5,000 running watts generator. Came in here with the carburetor issue. I just want to show you how we take off a carburetor on this 5,000 watt generator. Right, first I would like to go through the tools. We have my 1/4 inch electric ratchet, which I use to take the place of this. This is a 1/4 inch ratchet. You can use larger, smaller. That's actually a 1/4 inch is probably the smallest you get in that kind of ratchet. Pair of pliers, pair of needle nose pliers, pair of vice grips. And when we get to the vice grips part, I'm going to ask out if any of you guys know of the tool that I need to use. I don't have them, but I'll be able to tell you that and explain it to you a little bit later here on. A couple different size extensions for the 1/4 inch ratchet, which I'm going to use on my electric ratchet. 5/16 socket and a 10mm socket. Of course, I always like to use my plastic clip tool that actually helps me with fuel lines to get the fuel lines off. It's an awesome tool. And then, of course, our little tray so you don't lose your parts. And of course, I use a doggy bowl. I have Huskies, so they come in handy when they're not eating. Anyway, all right, so to take off the air cleaner first, it's 5/16. I'm gonna use an extension and my electric ratchet, and we gotta just get the 2 bolts off the side. Take them off first to get to the air cleaner. Sometimes the bolts will stay in the air cleaner cover itself. Sometimes they'll fall out. So you take your air cleaner down, or air cleaner cover off, and here comes your air filter. All right, take that out of the way. And we do have a cover underneath. This plaque cover here has to come off to get the carburetor off too. And that's actually a 10mm. All the bolts that hold that on, we have this guy here, and I actually go to a longer extension for the one in the back, but that cover is just easy enough to take off first. Just make sure you put the washers are there for a reason. These washers are here to keep the plastic from cracking. All right, so actually I'm going to leave them on there because they're hard to come off. They'll come off with the plastic cover. And then we have one that's hidden around the side. Right down here under yonder. It's way back in there. See that? That nut's got to come off. All right. And then I pull these off and watch the washers come out. And just don't lose them. We got 2 to go there. The cover comes off. Put that to the side. And we're going to take the air cleaner cover base off. And that's actually also a 10mm. 2 of these guys right here. I used to think these were 7/16 or 3/8, and they've gone metric. So these are 10mm. Take these guys off. Sometimes you have to replace all the gaskets on here when you take these covers off. Sometimes you can keep the old gasket that was on here. Actually, this looks like this gasket was not placed properly. All right, so taking this off, you're gonna come around to this side. We're gonna pull this out here, which is the vent tube that goes from the valve cover to the air cleaner. And also, this one actually has a choke up top here. Now, this choke lever's got to come off, but it only comes, it's like a little puzzle. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see inside here or not, but there's a little notch on this side right there. And then it actually has a notch on the arm, and it's on the other side. It's on this. You got to come underneath here and look under there. And the notch is on the back side of here. So you have to line up the notch with the cover, and you got to pop it out. So just remember when you put it back in, that's got to go back on. And also, when you put this back on, you have a notch on this side. You got to make sure these notches fall inside those notches. So it's a little bit of a puzzle, but when you put it back together again, just make sure that you have the notches on both sides when it goes back together. And granted, it's going to be all put together like that, and then you're going to be going down through that, and you have to have the notches all lined up. So I would say, recommend the choke. Wow, this gasket was all messed up. This could have been some of his problem right here. All right, so just recommend that the choke is closed when you put this together, because that's how this came apart the easiest. All right, so it's just going to help you when you go to put this all back together again, that your choke is closed. All right, so you set that apart. The fuel line has to come off, and that's where the pliers come in handy. You got 2 different kinds. You can use the needle nose or just your larger pliers here. I'm going to try the larger ones. Gotta pry that up. And this guy's really stiff. Try a needle nose. Sometimes a needle nose will give you a little bit more of an up push. This clamp does not want to come up, but the fuel line's coming up off of it too. So I forgot one thing. Make sure you turn the fuel off. All right, that's off right now. It's the off position. Make sure your fuel is off if you have a fuel shut off. If you don't have a fuel shut off, you're gonna have to pinch the line before you take this fuel line off, or you will have issues with fuel all over the place, which you don't want. All right, so that's off of there. Now we're down to the carburetor. This is the carburetor. This is the question I have for you guys out there. Somebody out there may know the tool that you actually use on these little stars. This is actually like a male star. And I've been using vice grips all my life because we don't deal with these too much, but we do deal with them. And as long as you're not messing up these threads, because believe it or not, this carburetor will not just come off right now. This actually has a shoulder on it, which this bolt, that's how this is tight to the engine, is by these bolts. And these threads here just hold the back cover plate on for the air cleaner. So you just have to use the ends. And it doesn't matter if they get buggered up, but there is a special tool. I'm pretty sure there's a special tool that works for it. So if you guys know what that tool is, and then you have to basically break these loose with a pair of vice grips. And then once you break it loose, and you take the vice grips off, and you should be able to screw them by hand. All right, you do them with both sides. Clamp it on. Be careful you don't get those inner threads though. Just the outer threads. And then you just break them loose. If anybody knows what the special tool is for that, then I'd be curious to know, because I do need to get one. I just haven't. And I figured there'd be a lot of people watching this. Somebody might know. Just take these off. And sometimes they're easier and not. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes I put the vice grips on the end and turn them sideways, and then they'll unscrew even easier. All right, so once this is loose, I don't knock this off yet. It's not useful that, but I don't knock it off yet because we still have your return spring here. That's your anti-vibration spring for your carburetor. And you got to make sure, this is real nice that it has a plastic insert for it, but make sure when you take it up and off, nice and slow so you don't bend it. And don't just let it go, because sometimes they'll snap back and you'll lose them. And then this has a little plastic, it's actually open in the back. So if you push it forward, which is towards me, towards the camera here, all right, like that, that gives you room to move it off of the rod. That's your governor rod that goes into your carburetor, and that slides right up. All right, so now the carburetor's not loose, but the bolts are out. It's just because the gaskets are holding it on. So that's when I usually tap it, and then it comes off. All right, and there you have it. We have the carburetor. Now this is a newer style carburetor. They call this, it's a Nicky, and this carburetor is going to come apart, and we're going to, all right, now see, this is the bolts I'm talking about with the shoulders. So this is what actually holds the carburetor on. All right, some people think they just come undone. Now, like I said, here's a carburetor. We're actually going to pull this apart and rebuild it, and that could be for another video. But basically, this video is just to tell you how to take it off, and this is for it's a Husky, or it could be a Troy built, but it's a Husky generator. It's a 5,000 watt, 6250 watt, 5,000 running generator. It's got a Briggs & Stratton engine on it, and that's how you take the carburetor off. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. If anybody does have any ideas about that tool for these rods here, I'd be appreciative if I'm not sure exactly what that is as far as what tool goes on the end of there, but vice grips do work well. And if you liked the video, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.